Hi, there's a question I wanted to ask you. What will you choose from your family as you go shopping? We are now going back into the segue of the Dirty Dozen that deals with certain fruits and vegetables that have a high dosage of pesticides that in turn affects them immediately and sometimes over time. What I'm doing is bringing in awareness because we talked about the omega-3 and the omega-6 vegetables. It behooves me into talking about what fruits and vegetables are safe for consumption. Now, we go shopping, we have a certain budget in mind. But the thing is, you still want to stay healthy and maintain your food budget. What we're talking about, the concept of the Dirty Dozen, and to focus on healthier choices, and also to understand what is pesticides. As we go into the short video, we're talking about pesticides which they use to keep the bugs and insects from devouring fruits, vegetables, or produce on a whole. They're at the lower end of the food chain, and guess what? They need to eat. We're now in the fruits and vegetables section, and I just want you to see the difference in the pears, which is needed for our omega-3s and to boost our energy level and help mimic estrogen. Over here, it's $3.79. Then I'm walking over to the non-organic, and it's, you could see that it's $2.99, but I think they have it on sale today for $2.49 a pound. So they have more variety here in the inorganic section versus the organic. Then you have more things are bagged, but I don't buy my fruits and vegetables in bags because I like to keep it fresh. I don't like it to sit around, and since it's not really loaded with a lot of preservatives, it doesn't have a long shelf life, and that's what you have to keep in mind. So, sometimes it's not healthy to buy stuff in bulk. But the thing is, they come in swarms, in droves. And in my last video, I talked about how I had a vegetable garden, and they just took it over in a matter of days. I think there were Japanese beetles just tore my rose bush up. So what I had to find natural remedy that would help to prevent them. There's things online prevent them from eating, but now we're talking about miles, acres of produce, which is necessary to feed our communities and the world at large. Because as you see now, we're talking about these farmers are in jeopardy due to the tariffs. And the thing is, they only could keep their grains and their foods for a certain period of time. Not only the pesticides help to keep the insects at bay, but sometimes it has a preservative effect on it and keep it long enough to reach the supermarket and then to the home. That's why I talked about in the other video, do not buy things in bulk without you understanding how long they were produced. Because then you're going to take it and sit it on your shelf for a long period of time. And it will cause all kind of leakage and food poisoning. So you have to be cautious about how do you shop. In my previous video, we went in depth a little bit about what the effects of pesticides are. And they're like neurotoxin affects the skin, the eyes, the lungs, the respiratory system. then sometimes it has an acute effect or it has a chronic effect. And the chronic effect sometimes leads into cancer over time. That's why you need to understand and what is inorganic. And the organic foods are the ones that they are trying their best to even do more of a greenhouse effect, because I saw some strawberries not too long ago at Walmart, because I'm always shopping to see what's the latest trend. And it was grown hydroponically to prevent the attraction of the bugs, and the strawberries were very good and very tasty. So they're trying different things. What works even wonderful, if you go out and at the farmer's market, most of them will even give you an invite to their farms for you to see how they treat the soil, how they keep the bugs out. And the thing is, their stuff is so fresh, and you cannot keep that stuff around for a long time in comparison from the ones that are not organic. It has a shorter shelf life. They're more succulent, more juicy, and produce more of the nutrients that the body needs. There is a difference in organic. And again, it's the level of pesticides that they try to use natural remedies. They might use a vinegar, they might use a cayenne pepper, garlic, and so on like that, a peppermint as a part of a preventative from getting the bugs to devour their food. They till their soil. They don't grow in the same patch every year. They move it around and give the soil a chance to heal and rejuvenate itself. There's different things happening in the organic space. But now when we're talking about inorganic foods, they're just trying to meet a quota. And the thing is, that's why the FDA are now coming down on it. But since we have this new regime now, and we don't know who's at the helm of the FDA and how thorough they are they still looking at it? But some of the guidelines has been peeled back. You don't have those watchdogs any longer, because they would just want to pass stuff to get it out, kill us. That's it, long as they make a profit. So it's now for you to educate yourself on what foods you considered somewhat safe, because even though they use pesticides, it's not that heavy of a pesticide, because the skin of the fruit or the vegetable is hard and it doesn't penetrate that fruit. So I'm going to go through a list. Organically is broccoli, because it's porous, and the pesticides, when they spray it to keep the bugs away, it goes into the floret, the cauliflower, green leafy vegetables. Those are the ones I usually generally buy organic. I'm going to read it, and it's also, sometimes they're also budget friendly. So you can look and see for yourself and make that judgment call. Because again, I know we have a certain budget. Not everybody can buy organic, but now Walmart, I have to give Walmart credit. They have more of a line of organic foods. And the thing is, if you look at it in comparison to the inorganic foods of the same criteria, it's actually really not that much of a difference. International product, they don't use as many pesticides as we do, because I travel a lot. And what is funny is what is used here is not used abroad. Totally different. The Netherlands, Canada, they're not going for it. It does not cross the border. They cannot ship it. The thing is, what they treat our fruits and vegetables with, they don't do it anywhere else. They cannot export it like that. So one of the foods that is safe is onion. Remember, onions have that shine. Look at the onion. Most of you are familiar with onions. You see, it has that protective barrier. That's what you're going to look out for. So onions are somewhat safe, but I still I use organic onions, because at one time it was on the dirty dozen list, but now it has shifted. Then you have corn. Remember corn, if you buy fresh corn, it's in the husk and you have to peel it layer by layer. When they spray the corn The husk itself, the outside peel, shields the actual fruit of the corn. So it doesn't absorb the pesticides, as I mentioned, like the broccoli and the green leafy vegetable, which they are so porous. Look at the exterior of avocado. And again, you're talking about, we're going back to omega-3s. This is very good and high in fiber. So you want to keep your body fresh, high energy, and keep cells moving. The next thing is asparagus. I use asparagus at least once a week because, again, it's a cleanser for the kidneys. When you first purchase it, you'll feel the stem is really hard. The pesticide does not penetrate that particular vegetable, so that's very good. And as I said, it's a cleanser. Another one that is pretty good is pineapples. Now, live pineapples, not canned pineapples. We're talking about the real fruit, the live fruit, because remember, it has a hard exterior and it's kind of prickly. So it prevents the absorption of pesticides. Mangoes in a sample size is so interesting because it did not contain as much as other, because they are imported from Ecuador, some are from Mexico, some are from the Caribbean. That's why they have a short shelf life. But the hard skin protects the actual flesh of the fruit. Now, kiwis are brown and prickly, protective peelings. Papaya. If those who are not familiar with papaya, you need to try it because that's a good fruit for the heart. It's high in vitamin A, and you can also blend it, and it's good. The seeds are good because it helps rid of the toxins in the body. And eggplant. There are different kinds of eggplant. You got a purple eggplant, a purple and white, and that is good too because, again, the pesticides is not absorbed in the flesh of the vegetable. Cabbage is on the list. Now look at the cabbage. This is an organic cabbage, but I just wanted to show as a demonstration that with this cabbage, remember, just like the onion, it has a hard exterior. That's why when I do buy green cabbage, I buy it really when it's wrapped and the outer leaves, they are hard, but when they come to market in some supermarkets, they take the outer part off for presentation. But it's still good to keep it on as you purchase it because it keeps the vegetable longer. This is a cassava root. I picked it up to show, like some of the potatoes. See, it has a waxy buildup, and it prevents certain things from penetrating it. Sweet potatoes, good for the heart, good for the blood sugar. If you notice, I'm going to step back a little bit. See, it's hard. And of course, it's growing close to the soil. These are called root fruits or tubers, which are grown in the soil or close to the soil, but they don't absorb as much pesticides as the other fruits and vegetables. And then there is also sweet peas. That's a few on the list that are safe to eat other than organic. There's other food and vegetables, but you think about it when you go see the skin, even sometimes the cucumbers, you have to see where they're from. And if you like what you're hearing, I'd like for you to subscribe and share this video. But most of all, I want you to make a comment. Tell me, how do you work towards a compromise of organic or inorganic fruits and vegetables, which will help to balance your budget and at the same time keep your family healthy? Going back to the video, my question, what would you choose for your family in order to, again, keep them on the healthiest side as possible? Because the question is, you're paid cheap now, but you're going to pay for it later in your health. And that's nothing to gamble with. This is very serious, especially as we age and we're going through this menopausal symptomatic body distress and everything. You got to have the best of the best in order to keep that body in good health. And it works. I am living testimony of it. So I'm talking to you. You cannot just go and jump and skimp. You have to now think about, how are you going to live the rest of your life? And you want it to be healthy as you age. Because this is a test. What I want to encourage you to do is to think about your shopping habits when you go out to the store. Take a little more time to start looking and reading the labels. Where is it from? And you get a better buy from the fresh market. Sometimes they have those farmers market comes on Saturday, or you go and take a minute and go down and look. It's also good for your health because now you're changing your patterns. Look at the label. Pick seasonal fruit because when it's in season, they use less pesticide because everything is in waves. When you go out and you buy stuff, you're not going to get things that have been grown for a long period of time and out of season. And again, they're not going to be effective. They aren't going to hold their sweetness. So again, God is amazing because there's different fruits that are grown in succession according to the seasons of the year. Just like we know has been in food service, you don't eat mangoes other than around June into the summer. And they're the optimal sweetness. So those are summer fruits. The berries are in the spring. So you have to really take time to note when these foods are really optimal. Then you have the fall vegetables. So these are the things to consider as a wise consumer. And you want to think about how you shop every day. What I'm saying to you is you have to now be mindful of how you choose your fruits, your vegetables. When you're presenting it in the kitchen, you're going to cook it and you're going to present it to your family because you want them to be the best and you want them to be healthy because what you ingest now, you're going to feel it later on. Being a wise and educated consumer is our best thing. As I said, you start doing a little homework or start looking at other videos. You could even go back and look at my videos and you could determine what is your plan of action. I invite you to take this video and share it with others. Take the kids with you and let them sample the difference between organic vegetables or fruits, especially the fruit, versus the non-organic, and you're going to be really surprised. And guess what? You're worth it. So again, thank you for listening to the video. And during this video, I'm also going to share, I did a clip when I was in the supermarket. In order to reduce some of the pesticides, you could also consider using a vegetable wash. Like this vegetable wash. This is at Harris Teeter. Trader Joe's also have a good one. And what it does is it helps remove wax, pesticides, and easy to clean. And it doesn't leave an aftertaste.